Hello, and welcome to another edition of our Savvy Startup video series. I've got Tony Dixon, a partner of ours, here joining us as well to contribute to all the content we have to give to you today, which is going to be hopefully very informative for your business. So, what are we talking about today? Setting up a business cloud organization system, which is basically something that's available to everyone, and it enables your access to your business documents quickly and remotely. There are several options out there, and we'll cover the Google Workspace as an example. So, what are we going to cover? Well, we'll cover storage and a little bit about communication, organization, which will include some version control and file and folder structures. And we'll also touch a little bit on security and multi factor authentication. So, what is cloud storage? Well, cloud storage is data on remote servers accessed over the internet rather than local storage devices. So, those hard drives that we all used to have, well, you don't need those anymore because you can now put your information out securely and access them over the internet. Users can access their data from anywhere with an internet connection, enabling flexibility and mobility. Cloud storage solutions offer scalable storage capacity, allowing users to adjust their storage needs as required. There's several models out there available for pay-as-you-go pricing that eliminate upfront hardware costs, making cloud storage economically advantageous for a business. So, what kind of examples do we have out there? Well, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. There's also options available with Apple.
Hey, Imran, I'm so glad we're actually teaching this topic at this point because this topic alone gives a lot of the clients that we have watching this course accessibility to some really cool structure that a lot of business owners are needing and desiring. They're yearning for this kind of structure and accessibility to these types of tools. And as you've probably seen in your own experience in working with either a startup business all the way to fully established, fully operational, highly successful businesses, you're going to see everything in between using these types of services. And what's really cool, and you may feel the same way, but from our experience, even in our own business, what we've found is access to these types of cloud storage devices and the information you're sharing today has made it possible for our company and many other companies that we work with. It's made it possible for them to grow and expand and scale without this massive overhead of full stacks of servers like you were talking about, with being able to have accessibility to security and document sharing, so you're not having to scan an email or fax or have physical copies of these important documents that businesses need to own and operate on a daily basis. And so I'm actually really excited that we're teaching this class together because this has been such a powerful and impactful topic for us in our company, and an ability to share information and grow utilizing technology with what's out there. So again, thank you for teaching this topic to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. And I 100% agree about how it's helped both of our businesses and our clients as well in the same way. So with that note, I'd like to talk a little bit about using Google as an example on what that workspace can look like, because it's cloud-based, because it's out there in a virtual environment. You don't have to worry about rent and room rent to put those servers in. Yet it'll have the very same functionality and the very same securities if you set it up right, and that's what we're here to show you. So, what does a Google Workspace setup look like? Well, essentially, once you sign on to a Google account, you should have availability to multiple tools within that workspace that'll allow you to use and utilize the different tools that they have and apps that they have to do all the work that you need to. So I'm not going to go over how to create a Google account because that's actually very simple once you just go to google.com and set up your account. And that's the same with any other provider out there. But once you do, here are some of the tips and tricks that I would recommend, or we would recommend, that we've seen as best practices and work well together. So create a Google account, and then once you access your credentials through your credentials, it'll enable you to get an email account, and that's going to be your primary communications means obviously. And you can literally create your business organization with accounts underneath your business with the same, at businessname.com for your either employees and other coworkers. It'll also give you access to the Google Drive and access to create Google documents, right? Slideshows and spreadsheets that help you communicate and store information on the web. So once you have that account, you can navigate to the Drive page, which will be the central storage space that is available to you. And you can actually save files, and you can see several examples on the screen over here, which are basically like the Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. What's nice about this is once you create those, they're created in the same space on the web page that you're on, and you can then save them in an organized fashion, which I'm going to show you as well. So as you're setting up and bringing in your files, you can actually set up a great structure that'll help you find things easier and organize yourself as well. And all this can be done in a very secure manner and a very organized manner. In your cloud organization, you'll have the access to create folders within the master drive, and those will help you basically identify what exactly are the types of files that you're storing. You can import from your desktop, for example, or you can create these within Google as well. So here are a couple of examples, and you'll notice that I've created a 01 company files and a 02 financials. This numbering system is something that you can use in multiple ways to keep yourself organized, and everything doesn't look, all over the place. So here's one example, and you notice that it's very easy to read exactly what's going to be within these folders. Within those folders, you can see, for example, for the company files, you've got a couple of files in there that can be either saved or created. For example, you'll have an articles of organization for your company. You can save those within your company files, and you can name them based on the date that you got it, so it's easily accessible as to which date it was, the name of what the file is, and your company name. This allows you to easily search any file if you follow this system. Another example of how you could organize your financials. You ideally want to organize them by year, because that also may translate into how you organize your tax stuff. And then within those, you can have the months as well. Okay, so this is just an example of you by year, very uniformly organizing multiple folders.
You have a tremendous amount of experience in using this type of a Google Drive, and I know for our company we use it every single day. On that previous slide, I was looking at all of those icons that you pulled up, and I've used 90% of those already today before we even had a chance to talk. But from your experience, what is one of the hardest things that someone's going to face when trying to start this process of creating files and organizing it? Because it can feel like a daunting task at first.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point, Tony. So I honestly think the hardest part is actually just figuring out how to properly organize yourself within the folder system. So you start with, what do you have or what do you need, right? So if you have a file because you were able to register your business, and it's sitting out there on your desktop in electronic format, or it's sitting as a paper on your desk, well, you need to convert that into an electronic system and upload it into the Google Cloud. Well, you just start with what you have. Don't worry about creating anything new. You take what it is and think about what its purpose is, right? And create a folder for that purpose. Example here is the company files, right? Core documents that help you organize. And start saving stuff in that place. And while you're saving them, just think about a logical way of naming them, which usually involves the name of the document, the organization it belongs to, and the date. If you stick with those three things over and over, you'll have a very easy filing system and organization system to go through everything. Once you start organizing and saving your files, you'll find that searching these things will be easy as well. And you can start building from there. And the process of organizing will get you to start focusing on running the business and not where everything is disorganized and all over the place as far as files are concerned. All right. So, having said that, let's also talk a little bit about cloud security, protection of data, applications, and infrastructure in the cloud environments. Well, there's a lot of challenges with having your data out there in electronic format because there are, as we know, data breaches, unauthorized access, and some compliance concerns depending on the industry you're in and how big your organization is. Another importance of cloud and security is data protection, safeguarding sensitive information from unauthorized access, compliance, for example, meeting regulatory environments, and business continuity, ensuring uninterrupted operations. One thing that we could add here, and Tony, you could help me out here, is since you have multiple people in an organization, you want to have the ease of letting them access it securely as well. So I think you faced sharing files within your organization as well. So tell us a little bit about what your experience there.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for bringing that up because it's so important, especially we're constantly exposed to external risk of people trying to access our information. So security externally is so important, and these platforms offer a high level of security, but there's also a level of security that you have to have in place internally within your business as well. And I hate to say it, but just because someone works for you doesn't mean they're the best person to have access to your information.
Right.
And from that standpoint, there's also an efficiency. For us, we have to set permissions on some of the folders and the files and the information we have and share. Like for example, we will share information with, say, for example, all our sales department. But our sales department doesn't necessarily need that same information that our financial team is going to need. And the financial statements, sales reports, that's not something that necessarily our marketing team will need. And so, within this environment, this ecosystem, you can actually select who gets access to specific documents. And so it's not just because it lives in the Google Drive, for example, doesn't mean everybody within your company or organization will also have access to that document. So you have the freedom to pick and choose who has access to every single document in your organization, which is crucial. There are pieces of information that do need to be reserved for certain departments, and it doesn't need to be company-wide. And you have that freedom and that access within this type of a cloud-based environment, which is awesome, which is something you will absolutely want to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's a good point. So there's two primary things that'll always be available to you when you are actually using and saving stuff to the cloud, right? Individual documents can have password, right? Most spreadsheets and other documents that are available to you can be password protected. That alone is not good enough security. It is good security, but you can add on to that. You add on to that by giving your permissions to your folders and files through this cloud system. So Google has the ability to say, only give certain people access to a certain folder. Conversely, it also says, hey, anybody that has a link to this can access it. So you have to be very careful about what kind of security you set up there. Now, more importantly, one of the best ways to protect your information is something that's called multi-factor authentication. Okay. So let's talk a little bit of that. What is multi-factor authentication? Well, it requires users to provide two or more verification factors to gain access. Basically, what that means is you're not just accessing the file because you have, a link to it. The system, in this case, Google, will send a secondary confirmation, whether to email or your a text to your phone or otherwise, to basically say, are you really the person that's supposed to be accessing this? So what are the factors available for this access? Well, it's going to be a password, which is something you know. It's going to be a token or a smartphone, right? That is something you have. Tokens are generally, an example is something that is given by a bank. It generates an automatic token, and it's a physical piece. Whereas smartphones, they have authentication apps in there, where basically you'll get a code specific. They're very, very easy to set up. So the Google Authenticator, right, or Microsoft Azure are two examples of those. And then there's something that you are, like the biometrics, your thumbprint, your facial recognition. Those are things that you should be familiar with if you have a smartphone now. And those are additional authentications that can be done. So when you're accessing a file, the second or third authentication that is required is one of these things that allow someone who's actually allowed to access these things, right? These files will have. So, what are the benefits of multi-factor authentication? Well, obviously, there's enhanced security. It reduces the risk of unauthorized access and data breaches. User convenience. It allows a lot of flexibility in authentication methods because these are tools that you will have with you. And then compliance. It supports regulatory requirements for data protection because at the end of the day, as you deal with more companies, more people, you want to give them the assurity that their information is protected, right? And there are rules and laws out there that require you to protect their information as well if you're getting their information. So, in conclusion, these are strategic investments for you. Implementing a robust cloud security and multi-factor authentication method mitigates risks and enhances overall cybersecurity posture. And it allows you to have continuous improvement to adapt to evolving threats and technologies to maintain resilience, all within a very flexible and available cloud environment that will make it easy for you to run your business and focus on actually growing it. And with that, I want to close it by thanking Tony for being here with me to walk everybody through, leveling up their business to the next level. And I look forward to you guys seeing more of our videos in these Savvy Startup series.